birds, cause I'm good with words. If they need a pack, then I'm finna serve. Switching lanes, middle swerve. Flipping birds, flipping birds. Flipping birds and I'm flipping doves. You just can't get this shit for free, you gotta earn my love. Like what the fuck? Real shit, you gotta earn my trust. Flipping birds, trying to get it out the mud. Gotta be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. Niggas really be TLC, talking about them scrubs. Shit is crazy, pharmacy gon' sell you drugs. What? My past life, I was a vulture, eating Carson's blood. The vampires always trying to drink some blood. I flip a bird up, cause them niggas ain't fucking with me, cuz. Fucking with me. I made this beat from a sample off a Jigglypuff. I'm not OVO, but I like to hunt. Yay, flipping birds. Show them in my trap, and I cook it up. You know the cash. You want some hard shit, I'll whip it up. Whipping Westworld magic, call it Starbucks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Flipping birds, man. Yeah, that's a good segue. A good segue into this live, what I'm finna talk about and stuff. All right, and then that was it. The computer. But yeah, man. I was just sitting here observing, you know, I guess this new shift of nature, right? So I'm here in a you know, parking lot, but you know, there's still like trees and there's like nature. I'm like kind of I'm near. I'm like it's more naturey than just straight metropolis industrialism, right, of a city, right? So I ain't like in the most condensed urban area. You know what I mean? I'm in Arizona and shit. You know what I mean? So just taking some time now. Like I needed to get out. I was in Vegas and whatnot. And if you ever been out to Vegas, if you've been in Vegas, it's very fast paced and filled with like new people every day, all kind of activity. You name it. Not trying to promote Vegas for free or nothing. I ain't trying to promote Vegas or nothing. But I'm just making a point. There's a vast difference between being in a city all the time each day, and then maybe being more in a quote unquote, for the lack of I hate even fucking using words and shit, but to use these words and these terms and shit because they still point to certain things as far as the like really language is we need to come up with some new shit. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I know I need to get to. But it starts with this, like just starts with your mind, getting your mind focused on the right shit. At least for me, like I'm speaking from my experience. And like there's some elements of nature in cities wherever you're at. Like each city's different, but for the most part, they're all kind of like the main cities, like LA's, and like in the Bay Area, it'd be like San Francisco, like Oakland's. If you go East Coast, it'd be like New York's, and Jersey's, and and like Miami and stuff, Florida's and stuff. Fucking Chicago's, and you know what I mean. Houston and Texas. So like, from what I'm realizing, there's a reason to that because they pretty much just like built on top of what the natives was already doing. And I ain't trying to make this video about a whole like what I'm saying history thing. Pardon me, but like the water, like people. All right, so culture, having a culture. Start, you know what I mean? People love the water and shit, type shit. So I know I came out the water and shit. Shout out to Dolo the Pilot Man. I ain't never copied Dolo the Pilot Man. I ain't never plagiarized Dolo the Pilot Man. If anything, I've been reminded about certain things that we all have access to as far as awareness and personal spiritual experiences. Me personally, based upon my life and how I grew up and what I've been aware of myself before I ever watched the Dolo the Pilot Man video, I was already aware of certain things myself. I just didn't know how to put things into words, into the right like shapes and forms, but it's not like I wasn't unaware. Like I've been aware of God being like all possibilities or the Great Spirit. I've been aware of that since I was a kid. I just didn't like the whole God concept was like what you get them. So this is how I know I've been here for like forever. Because I know where I came from. I never just gave my power away to some man-made ideas or shit. Even if I did, like, I didn't fought resiliently to keep my mind, at least, like mine for the most part. You know what I mean? It still belongs to the Great Spirit, but like, I ain't just like in some man-made world where I totally accept and agree and believe to everything. I was always questioning things since I was like very young, 2 years old, 1 years old. My mom taught me how to read very young. I'm probably like 2 years old, already knowing how to speak and put together sentences. So for anybody out there that has anything to say to me or might look at me a certain way, I'm not copying nobody. There's key things about just the starting points of what existence is and what life is that everybody should already know and be aware of. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, and if you act like you don't know, because really all spirits know this shit. How you gonna tell a spirit any like you know what I'm saying? Like spirit is a space. So all like I'm not trying to put people in certain everybody be aware of what they aware of based upon they space, they know thingness, they peace, and depending on the level of or the percentage level of a spirit could comprehend, meaning articulate and receive and put out information and grasp certain you know what I'm saying, certain thoughts and certain feelings and shit, and know how to actually like express these things. You know what I mean? Like actually, like I know certain, like I know I'm not just talking using somebody else's words like rhetoric. You get like the politicians will do. You know, or like some NASA nigga, like a Neil deGrasse Tyson or something. Somebody that's not in nature, somebody that's not really in touch and tapped in with the environment. You know what I'm saying? Go look at Neil Tyson chicken nugget man, and you could tell he ain't never spent like no real time taking care of his body or try to like go on nature walks or go on hikes or play basketball. Like I grew up playing basketball for like years, dude. Not to make this about that, but like I've been doing shit since like I ain't stopped being active my whole life. I'm still a kid. Like my body, the reason why I look the way I do and shit, I might have some acne and shit here and there, but like I have like remarkable healing abilities. Any scars I ever get, like I heal very quickly. You know what I'm saying? If I ever been like had any bruises or anything or injuries and shit, like, I heal for the most part. You know what I mean? Like now this was like something I needed to. I ain't gonna go into that, but the point of what I'm saying is you could tell who's who and who ain't. And Neil deGrasse Tyson don't know shit about life. You know what I'm saying? Just for him to, or he do, and he just being a demon. As far as that going along with that legion, that religion of things. You know what I'm saying? As far as a group of spirits that they all agree to like some type of terms and conditions that some like overlord being, you know what I mean? Some like them group that some like hierarchy group, they created some synthetic world, and then you know what I'm saying? It's like anything of that world is just gonna trickle up, is gonna go back to the intellectual property creator. You know what I'm saying? The people that initiated that first idea, right? And a lot of that shit is like keep people enslaved and keep people in a certain mentality where people never raise themselves up to understand or develop their own imagination about life and what they're supposed to be aware of. So it'd just be a whole group of people following some head motherfuckers and shit. Some Confederation head, some federal headship kind of concept. A lot of this shit they copied from the natives and stuff. So they pretty much took a lot of things from the natives and then maybe did certain things and distasteful, rather manipulative tactics and not the most favorable thing to do as a spirit. You know what I mean? When we start talking about existence and how you treat life, you know what I mean, is a big part of that. How you look at life, and so there's a lot of beings and shit. They already set they on like a set path already to hell and just based upon certain like things they acted on when you ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people let life overwhelm them and let these thoughts and feelings, and these are like, okay, shout out to Dolo the Pilot, man, because I wouldn't be able to come to certain conclusions or perspectives. Like I wouldn't be able to express certain ideas if he didn't like kind of help remind me about the starting point of things. I've said this many times in previous videos, bro. I'm not, bro. Now I get like I probably still come up with my own idea about things, which in a lot of ways I have. People don't, man. I'm not here to try to prove nothing. And I'm not here trying to prove nothing. I'm here like to speak my truth, speak the truth into existence. I know this internet shit is kind of weird and shit, but I'm here to, I'll at least practice my teaching abilities and practice like what kind of seeds I'm trying to plant in the esoteric dirt, as far as my farming and agricultural purposes, as far as my own life. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to grow up and, you know what I'm saying? Raise as far as maybe my livestock and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? My livelihood. So, and I like to talk about life, and maybe there's times where I don't do that in the most favorable time of the day, or but I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, and I'm not here to control things and keep things bottled in. So even times where maybe I didn't handle something the best, I know how to look at myself and do my own self-evaluation for the most part, and try to correct those things. And man, everybody got their own shit. You know what I mean? And none of us is really here to be judging anybody, because everybody got their own individual path. So that's where I'm wrong at. If I ever came off like judgmental and shit, I want to say that's learned, like something I already knew. There's times where we get lost into these things, but I'm at least wise enough as a spirit to like pull myself out of shit and look at something, look at moments, look at myself like, oh, okay, yeah, that wasn't necessarily like the most favorable image for me to be showing or expressing, or that probably wasn't really me. That might have just been me and my feelings, or in my ego. A lot of times it's ego and shit. But I'm a man enough that I can say that. I'm a man enough to admit when I'm wrong and admit that I have flaws, and that don't make me less of a man. You know what I mean? Because I have flaws and because I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? So I can at least admit that and own that and be responsible and take accountability. Like I know when I'm being retarded, I can say all this shit is retarded to me. I would have, you know what I'm saying? If things were different, like I wouldn't have created this type of world. You know what I'm saying? I would have maybe left things the way they were and worked with nature, how the natives was probably doing it. And I want to say I'm like a collection of a lot of those spirits in a body right now that were alive then. You know what I'm saying? Whether that was birds, eagles, hawks, you name it, bro. Whatever, humans, different tree like creatures and stuff. Whatever spaces that. All right, let me go into, because this was the main point of the video. So like spaces. So out of the overall existence, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. All possibilities. Now I know that's like a lot for people to, like, I know that's a lot for the human bodies, like the human brain. It can't even really process all that. Like, I'm not gonna say it can't, but as of right now, the way the whole collective has evolved and what people will choose to agree with as far as thoughts and feelings, because that's how I look at it. Like, I look at it like you could do anything. Who could tell you? You know what I'm saying? Like, not anything. Like, just go do anything. I'm saying, everybody got like each spirit, each piece, like real spirit. Now there might be synthetic spaces that are just out here, some like man-made shit, and that's the different conversation. But like, I wouldn't be thinking and talking like this if I wasn't tapped in for myself in my own life. Like, I had to go about my own life and still and experience certain shit just for me to come to my own awarenesses and conclusions about life. Not on no YouTube video. Like, I might have watched videos and things of that nature. Okay, boom, had different starting point. Then I went into life and actually confirmed a lot of things I was either already thinking or things I was paying attention to and observing. Things I might have been saying to my own people like years ago and shit, decades ago. Like being 8 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old, teenage. Like, there's things I was already doing before I ever watched any YouTube video where somebody was reminding me about what I already know. And that you could go watch that guy's videos, and he even says that I'm not teaching you anything. I'm reminding you what you already know. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not up here trying to make money like a goddamn politician and sell you a goddamn narrative using bruh's imagination, intellectual property. You know what I'm saying? That's for like whoever needs to hear that in the world. Like, I don't get up here and regurgitate somebody else's shit. I genuinely can listen to what somebody has to say and be like, all right, I agree with that. And then there's certain things that I might just it might go over my head, or it's not meant for me to take in. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not meant for me. It don't resonate with me or something. And that don't mean I might not. That don't mean I ain't gonna resonate with it 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, or shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So everything is like a process. Everything's a process. So what I'm saying is in this video, like, everybody got their own like spaces. Just God existence itself is made up of all possibilities of different spaces, and space it's within itself. It's like space within space, right? It's always like it's like layers, and you know what I'm saying. You go into a space, you just left the space. You know what I'm saying? And then there might be another space over. You know what I mean? There's like all kind of spaces around you, just for you to be who you are. All right. Let's not get shit fucked up. I didn't pick my name to be Dakota for no reason. Like, that was a spiritual decision. Like, people just be having, like, people think I'm not me and shit. Like, this is shit I've been dealing with my whole life. People trying to tell me I wasn't me. People trying to tell me I'm a liar, and whatever the case may be, or some put me in some negative light and shit, or I'd be like kind of maybe just retarded and shit, and put myself in a down kind of energies where then people could like point the finger at me like you being down right now or some shit, right? But when I'm not in that downward, like downward dog, being a just demon, you know what I'm saying? When I'm in more like lighter natures and stuff, I have real experiences in real life, dude. Like, this is just for anybody that don't know. Like, nobody really knows me, so other than me and shit and God. So I'm not here to prove nothing to nobody in the world. Like, I know who I am, and my peace of God, all possibilities. Like, that's that. You know what I mean? It knows it knows me, and I have a piece of it. I'm not the overall it. So there's times where the ego and the arrogance and things, like, I could say like, I might get in my ego to some degree because I'm not even gonna justify it. Yeah, who doesn't? You know what I mean? Who doesn't think about themselves and and whatnot? So there's times where I could at least I know like, or I might appear to be a certain way. Like let me chill out. You know what I mean? And I might sometimes the spirit would just be going through different shit, trying to get out of certain shit. You know what I mean? So it's like nobody could really look at the next space or the next being and really even try to like figure it out or point a finger. And I'm guilty of this, so I'm talking about my damn self. But like, you know what I mean? Like, really, nobody could really look at somebody and be like, "The fuck is you doing?" Or that person's retarded, or this, that, and the third. Or now there's see, it gets tricky, man. There's times where people are being like they need to be checked. I'm not saying that, and there's enough like spaces of life that be like, nah, dude, you tripping. You know what I'm saying? You ain't never tripping, but maybe like for example, 7 out of 10 people in a situation could be like looking at you, kind of like, nah, you ain't. You know what I'm saying? They're not agreeing with you. You know what I'm saying? So you could kind of look at yourself like, all right, maybe that's not. It really just depends. Like, see, that's where people get lost, bro. You're supposed to be doing what the fuck you need to be doing, whoever that is. Like, what I might need to do right now might be very different than what you need to do, and it might look very opposite. You know, it might look very indifferent. It might look like whatever I'm doing is gonna go against everything you think is making you feel secure and shit. So people just don't know how to like actually be in nature. You know, and I could see who hasn't been in actual nature like without a phone for 2 weeks. when's the last time? Just look at people in life, right? It's like you could look at people and be like, all right, they've been on their phone. You can see, all right, they've been somewhere at work, or like you could see like, all right, they going to work, they going to link up with are they on their phone in traffic, things of that nature. You know what I mean? Like I didn't had days where I lost everything. Everything was gone. Gave me time. Life was like, you sit your ass down. Now I did this to myself, most likely, because your spirit be you the creator. So whenever you ain't really supposed to give your creator ability away to things outside of you. You know what I mean? That's where like taking actual spiritual accountability is at. And sometimes I forget that. It's easy to forget these things because it's easy to get lost. Because it's like you're already in so many spaces, or like you're already in so many minds that already derived out of certain spaces that make up who you are, as far as your like, I guess, your starting point of a space, your family tree or something, like your background checks and stuff. All right, spaces, different spaces. So to like all became for us to just have this experience. It's just a distance and closeness thing. You know what I mean? And whoever was like in the more, or if we're talking about like from the middle outward, there's all right, the middle, like just in this context, let's say the middle is the most out, or the most in, but it would look and appear like out here externally, those type of beings look like they far out. They would look like the most outer layer. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we're in it, so we're trying to get back to it, right? So the beings that look far out, or things that are like kind of out of this world, or you know what I'm saying? That should be that should be more closer to like the actual, like, you know what I'm saying? The actual like equilibrium of like existence type of shit. The starting points of like really everybody's where they at. You know what I mean? So it's like we all did some type of like, you're here, I'm here, they over there, but we all like needed each other just to be aware of our own individual space. So that's how I really look at it. And sometimes I forget that, you know, like everybody is who they are based upon their relative position. You know what I mean? And I bird watching, you know, like looking at birds or looking at bees, just looking at nature. Like there's bees in nature. You got different plants. You know, you got birds and shit. And you just look at the different properties or the different like behaviors of these things, right? Like a bee is tinier and shit. From our human perspective, a bee looks more quote unquote small. So like logically, you know, from the I don't want to say dumb human perspective, but maybe a spirit that just don't know no better. I'm not gonna say they're dumb. They where they at. They may be just aware of a certain kind of position. They may not be seeing the full. They might not be seeing more of the. You know what I'm saying? There might be more things going on, but they might be focused on here, and here. You know what I mean? When there's like, so that's really what we be doing. You know what I'm saying? So no one group of beings in any position. All right, for example, the government. So here they are. Now that's their family or something, right? They all agreed with each other like on whatever percentage level, like the shadow government, the Jews, the Masons, whoever, like the cats behind the scenes, like these people that Amerigo family, like whoever these cats are, they resonated with each other enough in whatever location. It might have been. It don't matter if it was the lowest, most disgusting away from, like it might have been so far away from God, but they still they still resonated with each other though. So existence ain't really looking at it like on some bias shit. God don't got a bias. God don't got a body. You know what I mean? God's just a respecter of teams. That's it. Teamwork makes the dream work. So they all got together and that space realized at whatever point, you know what I'm saying? They realized that space realized that it was just gonna be itself. You know what I mean? Or maybe it was just being itself. It didn't know it was just being itself. But it's still, there was enough of those spaces that came together to make up that kind of like governing that organization. You know what I mean? So there's really nothing stopping like nobody else from doing the same thing, clicking up with your like-minded type of peoples and shit. It's easy for people to get lost in externalism. You know what I'm saying? So you could be like in a room full of 100 people, all y'all think y'all are like, oh yeah, we got this goal, da 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 da. Like y'all might think y'all like-minded, but it's not until things like play out, maybe months, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, then you start noticing the different, like the major differences. Hopefully you don't let it go that far, but I'd say like a month in, maybe some weeks to a month, 2 months, 3 months, you start seeing more of it. Because a lot of times people be already in like so many filters and shit. There's like so many layers and shit. There's so many like layers of clothes people be wearing like on their spirit, on their space. Meaning clothes being like certain mentalities or certain like fashions or certain cloth, like all right, so if your mind is a body, because your spirit is just no thing, no body, so you make a mind. Sex is the joint of the two energies, so it's like but these were two things on their own already, so like I'm not gonna go into that, but like there's no like, all right, that's it, that's the stop, that was the, like people think there's a God somewhere, like that was it, like all right, that's it right there. But no, like life goes on. So you might have thought just because that space or that position, it might look like it's the most highest or the most enlightened, maybe from your vantage point or whatever the case may be. It might appear to be above y'all, like an overlord or some shit, or you know what I'm saying, or some all-seeing eye, or like whatever the fuck, or just in general, like any being that might be in a position before you was. So they more equipped in that arena and shit. Like they got more experience. They've got more wisdom in that field, in that location, where based upon the distance and closeness, you might be, say, like right here or something. You know, you got certain things you got to do just to even in that little ladder shit that they create. You got to go up that little ladder just to even get to that position, right? But then you might get to that position and realize there's like a whole team of niggas already there, and then all of them are trying to get to some whole other position that you didn't even know about, because you thought that was it. You thought that was God or something. So as soon as you go to that world and shit, you gonna meet your maker. You create that world. You gonna realize there's a whole bunch of other niggas that was already there. There's a whole bunch of other beings and shit. There's a whole world already there. Woo! A lot of y'all ain't ready for that shit. You don't know what you're fucking making, paying attention to some God and Jesus Christ and some religious shit. Y'all be careful. But I'm talking from experience, dude. Like, this is shit I probably fucked up at, and shit I'm probably doing now in this life still. But at least I'm aware of it, so I can kind of maybe catch myself on more of a percentage level than somebody else. And that kind of goes both ways too. I mean, I'm not trying to go get lost in that. Somebody that's more aware, or somebody that could be less aware of things, might actually be catching more of the actual nature of things. I might be too aware of some shit that's keeping me in a certain spiritual space where I need to expand. But based upon what I'm choosing to be aware of, it's almost like a bias to some degree. I'm not trying to. It's just more about see, I'm not trying to go into my shit. A lot of it be like it plays out like I'm not making shit up, dude. I'm very relatable. Like, I deal with people in real life. I can see myself in an actual position. But then you got beings and shit already in certain positions here that I'd be looking at like, you know what I'm saying? It's not, I got to go about it a certain way. So I can't just do it like how everybody else is doing. So this let me know, like, I probably was already here before. I already did it those ways of doing that. So I got to come up with a new way of doing shit for myself. Even if it don't matter if I watch Dolo the Pilot Man or not, I still have to come up with some shit on my own. I still got to live my own life. And that's forever. Not even just Dolo the Pilot Man. Like, it could be anybody. Shit in there. I might go watch some Western movies or some shit. Or I'll go watch a Kevin Samuels video or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be anything. But at the end of the day, you still got to live your life. So I've been living my life. I ain't here to prove shit to nobody, bro. I just been doing shit retarded. That's my only thing. I've been like low-key retarded, and I didn't have a straight, like, this is what the fuck I'm about to do. Fuck everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in that kind of purpose building. But I had to go through a lot of shit to realize that I ain't none of that shit. Get out of it. Now I can be more naked, more open, more pure. My actual state of being, my actual, like, maybe my actual first mind type of, you know, getting back to those closer parts of myself. And I think this is just like an ongoing thing where you ain't never going to see Jesus. Like, you ain't never going to see Jesus. You ain't never going to, like, fully get, like, you ain't never going to get out of your mind, I don't think. Yeah, I don't. That's like an infinite regress. Like, you can, but you always gonna, like, you always gonna have to have a mind. And it's like each spirit knows how we created our individual first minds. It's like, how do you do that again? And a lot of times you was with a certain group of motherfuckers. So it's like all y'all created, y'all like all y'all became aware as a space. Like, you had a space, no thing, and then you create, like, you emit. That's like some guy. I ain't trying to go into that, bro. But each space becomes aware of itself. God works in mysterious ways. But it's like you have a thought, but first you had a subconscious. So it's like you had a subconscious, like you was like subconsciously aware. Then out of that, you like created a thought, a man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the first man was a woman. Concept. But both of these things are the same thing. So they're not. It's not like God was a woman and it's not all that shit. I ain't saying that like God was the first God was or the no. I ain't saying God was a woman and black this and black that. No, I'm just saying your ability to be aware of yourself. Like the spirits are just androgynous. So this is how like you created your mind and shit. So first you was like your zero-ness, and then you had to combine a thought. You had to have a feeling. It was like you had a thought that was already a feeling though. So it's like you had a feeling, because in that where it's like backwards in the spirit realm. Feeling for receive, you got to receive first. So receiving is more masculine. That's why I said the first man was a woman, because like first you had to pull yourself out of the overall existence. So and like in certain aspects, like we all like just having a mind, it's like we separated from God in however we did that. You know what I'm saying? Because there might have been certain things we was trying to separate from that we might have not agreed with. Yeah, so that was like our, man, this is some deep shit. These are like the first starting points of the Luciferian ego and shit. Like any beings that came that you know what I'm saying, they created, they look at it like you create, you're a creator. It's like, but that kind of mentality, or those type of beings that derived first came to those conclusions like after the, you know, it's like after the separation already happened. Then they start coming up with ideas like, oh yeah, yeah, like their own ego type of shit. Oh, I don't agree with that. I don't fuck with that. No. Judging and shit. So it's like, yeah, I'm guilty of that. You know what I mean? This is a world made up of Luciferianism. Everybody's judging. Everybody's doing some kind of Luciferianism in some kind of aspect. When I say that, I mean just your ability to have a willpower in the solar plexus. So you had your zero. You got your, you know, your thought and feeling. That joined together, that created like a mind. So it's like, yo, it was like 2-1 or like 1-2. But first you was like 2-1. You know what I mean? Like you had to relate to yourself first. So it's like, this is some shit. Like zero, you being a zero space with all possibilities and shit. I know zero is almost like a yeah, all right. So it's like you got your no thingness. You create a mind to be aware of like, oh, okay, I have my own space. This creates like a halo. This is like your first cloth, your first like clothing. And then your space would be like the actual, like, you know what I'm saying? The space. And then your mind is like a bubble, or however you was moving. That would be your mind. You know what I'm saying? I like to look at my shit like I kind of created like some kind of bubble. Cause it's 360 type shit. So it's like you got a half and a half. You know what I mean? You got a 180 and a 180. You know what I mean? Niggas, that there ain't no boxes being created. There ain't no box minds being created. Life is a circle. So most people create some type of circular or spherical state of being, right? Because this is how your body is and shit. Like that's like that egg concept. So that's really what all spirits was doing out of existence first. So who knows what's going, you know what I'm saying? Before you even took a body, like God was doing some shit. Y'all don't understand God like that. God ain't a fucking body, bro. God pushed some shit out, like, and created, like, God created everything first. God did it first. So you, like, whoever you are, God created you. But not in the concept y'all think. Y'all be giving y'all God-given ability power to some man. That's so after the fact. And they don't deserve, I guess they, like, you get what you deserve, but what is that song? That was Kanye West. No one man should have all that power. And that's a fact, dude. These niggas are drunk and high off of the highest lostness anybody could be in. You know what I'm saying? And it's not their fault. Because they, who knows what, I'm talking about maybe the original starting cats, like maybe some hundreds of years ago and shit, that really started these indoctrinations and shit. But, or even beings that aren't even here no more. These are like beings that already, like, you know what I'm saying, put themselves in some type of purgatory and shit, and they just like reigning over this realm and living through people. Man, that's a whole nother conversation. How did I get to this? But yeah, we just talking about spaces. Like, so you got your space, and then you create like your own individual space. That's your soul, and then that's like your first mind to some degree. They're like one and the same. They're not separate. Like your soul ain't separate than your mind. Like, but they're not necessarily the like they are kind of the same. Fuck these words, man. But your mind is your ability to like navigate. It's like a spaceship that your soul or your individual awareness of a space that you have. So it's like you got your soul that's like you got your spirit, then your soul, then your body, and your body is just like this body is just like pretty much the mind. So the mind was the first body. So you got birth, life, death. You can't remember shit from being when you was born. You can't remember shit from being birthed. That was all possibilities. That was when you was with God, just naked as a baby. You was pure. You had no awareness yet. You had no aware. Like you was maybe subconsciously aware. But cause we're like, I'm talking about like these first stages though, cause we're far to the fact everybody know, like, you as a spirit, you already, like, you know how you got here. Just people be lying to themselves based upon biases and all kind of shit. But initially though, yeah, birth, life, death. You know what I'm saying? That 7, 8, 9, that was like birth and shit. And then 4, 5, 6, life, and then 1, 2, 3, the death realm. So we're in the death realm, the body. We're inside of what we created out of the life, right? So if we're in a death, like, this is how we know how far we are too. If we're in a death realm, shit is dead right now. Okay, this is how we know whatever we create, whatever we was paying attention to and creating in the life, in our mind and shit, it expired. So this is why we're even here. We're here because we was already living before. This is what the natives really understand. Bro, I'm not even. How can I make this up? Watching somebody else, like, I can't even watch nobody else and literally take like words, like, because everybody speaks at a different time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's speaking from their own position. Nigga, I can't be somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I can't be nobody else, dude. All I can do is be me. And we all are here to, like, it's a teamwork makes the dream work. So it's not about somebody being in the ego. Nigga, at one point your parents showed you how to, like, walk or like ride a bike or something. Type shit. You know what I mean? So, like, what did you copy? You copied from your parents? You know what I mean? At some points, certain shit is copying and plagiarism, and then there's certain things that are just life, and somebody else is maybe trying to remind your ass what you forgot, so you can start standing on your own 2 feet again. You don't really need somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You just might need a reminder. Like, you might have, like, bumped your head or something, sleeping on the top bunk. You might have fell off the top bunk. You know what I mean? Like, got an amnesia. You might have hit your head too many times, falling off the top bunk. You know what I mean? Big bro or somebody need to tell you, hey, bro, stop. Put the. You know what I'm saying? Do this. Hey, you do this in your sleep, right? That's why you keep rolling over. Like, and he be, oh right, yeah. Hey, thank you for letting me know. Because when I'm asleep, I might not be aware of that. Thank you for reminding me. It's like, I'll be forgetting that happens. You know, I remember now. Oh, right, yeah, the doctor I was, you know what I'm saying? Right. Right, as a baby, like, oh, okay, right, I had this type of characteristics, and the way I was moving and shit like that. Oh, right, okay, that's why that dude ended up being bow-legged. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, people. Everything is going on for like a reason, dude. Ain't shit. Ain't nothing just like random and spontaneous. And everybody's copying from each other in some kind of aspect. So before you think somebody's just copying somebody else, you had to copy somebody else's goddamn words just to even say what the fuck you thinking, what you even thinking and feeling. So you copy the whole mental for anybody out. Let's just kill that. Like everybody's kind of copying each other to some degree, but there's people that come up with their own individual shit, like Dolo the Pilot Mans and shit. I don't know if anybody else did that before. You know what I'm saying? So, if somebody did that first in the like most in you know what I'm saying, then you gotta chalk it up. That's not me copying. That's me giving a motherfucker they flowers and shit. And I actually I know what I'm saying. So I ain't just like being too retarded. Now I get it. I might not represent. Maybe I need to. I get it. Everybody got different brands and businesses and shit. So nobody told me like, hey, I want you to be my representation of my brand. So that's probably where I be probably wrong at. Because nobody told me like, hey, I want you to be my I want you to be a brand represent. But at the same time, me being aware of what I'm aware of, whoever it is, individual, whether they the most innovative or not, they still had other spaces with them to make up who they are. You know what I'm saying? So they ain't just who they are by themselves. It took a team, bro. It took viewers. It took a whole lot of support. It took other things that ain't always people can't always be aware with the eyes and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, probably the most friendly, most supportive person of this environment, period. Whether I'm on YouTube or not, I'm in real life trying to make sure people are happy or trying to just at least be myself. I ain't trying to do shit because I ain't really got no agenda like that when I'm just being myself for real. You know what I mean? But I be trying to make sure I'm aligned with the elements and shit, like life and shit. You know what I'm saying? Now I get it. I be having fucking fat ass moments and shit. I be overindulging. That's probably my only thing right now is like food. That's like my biggest challenge in life is like making sure I don't eat too much fucking shit and consume too much. So moderation. So I'm not the only one that struggles with moderation. But I think people are struggling with moderation because we're not working together. You get what I'm saying? A lot of times, all right, for example, like people that are trying to like maybe lose weight or something, right? They all join what? They go to the gym or some shit, right? Or they join like a group. You know what I'm saying? Or some shit, right? A lot of times spirits feel more what's the word, like, because it's hard, sometimes it's hard to create like that willpower. It's hard to raise yourself up, you know. It's not this ain't no like, they ain't no like easy shit, you know. It might sound like it's easy and stuff, blah blah blah. That's some real like spirit, some real science that goes to that, you know, just for you to be in a certain energy each day consistently. You know what I mean? And I'm not the best at doing that, but I ain't like the worst. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's not really nothing to really compare. Because again, everybody's where they at. So if I want to eat a bag of chips, that's for me to, you know what I'm saying? That's up for me to live with. And if I already know better and I shouldn't be eating a bag of chips, but I still do it, that's for me that's still my choice. You know what I mean? That might be going against God because God didn't tell me to like eat 2 bags of chips or even 1 bag of chips, you know. So that's where I be lost, not doing what God needs me to do here and shit like that. So but I ain't always just on one spectrum. At least I think. So that's where people be getting lost. Like we all be like thinking we're not on some type of bias or something, but nigga, that's kind of where this world is tricky. because in a lot of ways, well, this has been my perspective because I got a Saturn in Pisces in my 10th house. So anything as far as like business status or things that you do on routine, Virgo, 6th house, that you might value 2nd house Taurus. 10th house would be like Capricorn, the earth, you know what I mean? Whatever idea it is you're trying to initiate on some practical shit or whatever earthly type of practical matters you're trying to initiate or gain some type of new stance on or secure. The earth energies be just like security and structure and how we gain security and structure here. So we ain't just getting hit with rain or getting hit with a weather storm for not having no abilities that we could possibly utilize or and the, you know what I mean, to go along with the materials and shit in our environment, not out of moderation, but within moderation and balance and understanding the nature and the way things play out from a spiritual, then from a kind of like spiritual, I guess macro or micro, and then outwardly macro, or macro then micro, because it's like they're fuck. But yeah, macro then micro, or internally micro then outward macro, or as above so below, as within. So yeah, like fucking got hot. Whew. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We're creating bodies and shit. We're creating mentalities, environments, and based upon like your first mind, body, your first environment, or like, you know what I'm saying? This is where you're from. So I know where I came from. I had to be somewhere kind of up here and shit. I do this a lot. You know what I mean? So I might have, like, I know I was like, all right, east, and then like summertime, kind of summertime energies and stuff before that word and stuff, but just this transition of what we're all doing, or because we're going right to left. You know what I'm saying? So we're always moving to the left, but shit might appear like we're going to the right. So, but either way, I'm here. So I got a pretty balanced view. You know, I got a pretty balanced view of things. But at the same time, there's times in my life where I might be too in the middle, where I ain't secured. Like, who am I though? Like, who is me though? You know, I can go either way. And I'm a double Cancerian with like Gemini rising. So like, in a lot of ways, my Mercury's Gemini, so my mind is Gemini. And then, so I be in this kind of like, yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I be doing this, pretty much. Like, yeah, it was good. Everybody, show up, just fuck up the whole party with just with that. You know what I'm saying? It's a rap. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, like, you know what I'm saying? Or I'll do some shit like this, like come through, like, just come through, like vibing and stuff, just wavy and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, which side do I want to be on? You know, I ain't gonna pick a side right now. I'm gonna just do one of these real quick. I ain't trying to straddle the fence, but I'll be in the club hitting my shoulder dance. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of shit. So when you know yourself more or better, you'll start being yourself. You know why you've been doing certain shit. Like, okay, that's why I be hitting the shoulders like that. Or okay, that's why I like pizza. Okay, that's why I like pizza and stuff. Okay, that's why I ain't got a home right now, and I gotta actually make, like, probably gotta make a new home for people to live in, because the old outdated, you know what I mean, old homes, like, those were for those times and stuff. So I might actually be like an initiator of like how to create the next home for everybody. You know what I mean? So that's like maybe something I ain't been paying enough attention to. Maybe I need to design new houses and shit. You know what I'm saying? And have the actual faith and courage and to go about that and see that through. Who knows? I might actually get support. So it'd be shit like that. And a lot of times we just be distracting ourselves. We be paying attention to other areas and shit, other spaces, locations. All right, let me tie this around to something. because I was looking at the birds and shit, right? So, all right, here you got this quote unquote this human experience that we all like adding on to the pot. We all adding on to the pot with our own individual subjective objective, right? So we all got our own subjective internal kind of meanings and reasonings and shit. Why we even desire what we desire, or why are we even motivated, or why are we even who we are? And then we create, at least this is what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? But some certain, a lot of spirits get this down, but then there's also a lot of spirits that still be trying to connect the dots, if you want to say, where they probably know who they are internally, but they ain't maybe necessarily took the correct external steps, going through all those ins and outs of likes, dislikes, just different experiences, to start creating that objective image that they how they see themselves. And this is a process. Again, this is not like you just do this shit in one life and then that's it, which a lot of people have been convinced to think. Shout out to this, probably, I don't want to say this is a troll, but shout out to this person in the chat, Vibe Weeb, where they said faith without works is dead. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Faith without works is dead, because you could have that imagination all day, or you could subjectively know who you are all day inside of you, but if you never bring it outside of your own circumference, your own world, how is anybody going to be able to see it, right? And I think a lot of times spirits just be insecure, meaning they already built some type of already internal kind of like shape and some internal shit to secure that. You know what I mean? To feel secure internally and manage and handle that energy. So it's like an energy that, or something you want to express through whatever chakra, however you do it, because different chakras express different abilities. But it's like you got a certain ability chakra or whatever, a certain mind mentality, thoughts and feelings you want to express, and however you go about that, might be dancing, singing, drawing, cooking food, whatever it is, right? You might have a certain objective idea in mind, because you know how you feel, like how you subjectively understand intuitively, your intuitive self, but maybe a spirit be having trouble pulling that out, getting it, like how to actually raise that part out of themselves. And it's different, right? It's not always like your head. It might be you got to develop the footwork to play basketball, for example. You know what I'm saying? You might not be fucking LeBron James, for example, right? You can't just go from zero to LeBron James. You gotta put the works in. So this is shit that, like, I'm realizing more, you know what I'm saying, where if I would have like had this kind of better grasp of things, who knows where I'd be at right now, right? For the good or for the worse. But this is shit I already knew, though. I was just paying attention maybe to basketball at the time. Only that. I didn't apply that same mechanism to like maybe other areas. Like, hey, maybe I need to develop my handles when it comes to talking to girls and shit. Like, maybe I didn't do that enough in school, or like, you know what I'm saying? Where other people were like more talking to girls and they wasn't developing their footwork. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like ain't nobody's better or worse. Everybody just doing some RPG kind of, like, life ain't a video game, but just how it makes sense to me. Like, everybody just got different skills, a certain character that has certain skills and abilities, certain thoughts and feelings that go with it as a character, how they express themselves, how they look, the clothes that they finna wear, all that, the 9 yards. And if you played enough like RPG video games, you get the idea how they even came to make a video game. That's really what it be. It's not the video games is making people. No, you gotta think. For anybody that fucks with video games and shit, we gotta remind ourselves. just in general, this is a generalized statement. People aren't the creation. All right, so niggas are not the fucking the Jordan Air Force Ones. You're not a pair of Jordans. I don't care if you bought a pair of Jordans and you're wearing them and now you think you the shit. You're not Jordan though. Like you're not Michael Jordan and you're not the shoes. At one point you're gonna like Mike, the movie Like Mike, you're gonna have to take the shoes off, man. Yeah. You might be getting the magic, you might be getting the sauce, but somebody else developed the sauce already for you to even be catching that secondary sauce. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, that's where I get a bad rep because I still got to develop my own sauce. I can't be like reminded about some shit and now see I'm not in my ego like that, but other beings might look at me like that, like, oh, you got the sauce from so and so, and then I got to think about it like, wait, hold on, did I? I'm like, no, because I've been developing my own sauce. If anything, bro was another chef in the kitchen, and if anything, maybe came up with a new way of how to be a chef, right? And then I was just maybe peeping game because I'm another chef in the kitchen, and he might have reminded me some shit I already knew. I'm like, oh, and he actually might have came over like, bro, you know this down the third is going on. You know this down the third is going on, and I'll be like, oh shit, you're right. Like, don't you remember how you became a chef? It was like one of those conversations. Like, nigga, what the fuck is wrong with you, nigga? What the fuck is wrong with you, nigga? Don't you know you already you had to be a chef? Don't you already know you passed the classes? And it's like that, dude. Like that's how I took it. Like, nigga reminded me some shit. Like, nigga, don't you know you created yourself? Yeah, don't you know you made that, bruh? He might like, look, bro, I'm over here cooking. And then you kind of, it's like you snap out of it, like you're like, your shit's burning or something. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like, or you cooked it perfectly or something. But it's like that. You know what I mean? We all just like reminding each other of certain shit. So everybody got the ability to become aware of some shit first. But we all, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's doing a mechanism. So we all have access to this mechanism. It's not like people are unable. It's just people be convinced that they're unable, or they don't know. Maybe they ain't developed the know-how chakra. They ain't developed the mind necessarily, because there's different know-hows for different things, right? Like there's a know-how, a generalized know-how, but each kind of, you know, there's a certain process and a certain formula or a certain like shape and form you got to make. There's a certain, you know what I'm saying? Not to get lost in no like Mason shit, but like certain keys and shit you gotta like make to open a door. Otherwise you ain't gonna open that door. Or you gotta like reach a certain level. Like you gotta at least be level 50 to you know what I'm saying? To get that skill or that ability. That's some old Mason shit. I ain't trying to get lost in that. But pretty much what I'm saying is like spirits have the ability to create. You're a creator. You have the ability to create. So that's for anybody. It could be the feds, the fucking Donald Trumps, Hillary Clintons, Michelle Obamas, Guy Fieri's, you name it. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, like whoever the fuck it is, bro. 50 Cents, Paul Wall, like I can name like a gang of people, bro. I can name a whole gang of them people and stuff. But like, who's really creating their own image? That's like that actually matches their state of being or their spirit, you know. So that's the real battle right there. Who's gonna match they self first? Who's gonna like remember who they are first and create that line? So that's really the real race. Whether you could get to the egg or not, and then whoever reached the egg already, they could come back in a body and show others how to do it. That's where you get Dolo the Pilot Mans from. Motherfucker that can come back into a body after already doing something in his own path, and he wasn't and there was probably somebody before Dolo the Pilot Man. So if Dolo the Pilot Man copied somebody, it probably was God. You know what I'm saying? If anything, like what are we talking about? Copying, bro? Like who's copying anything? when we all are tied in with the Great Spirit. And that's a thing just artists and musicians be aware of, like, because I make music and shit, so I might listen to some shit, and then somebody inspire me to, like, oh, okay, yeah, and then that's the real competition. Bro might make a song, I'm like, ooh, that was fire. I'll get in my creative bag and put some shit out. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, shit, my niggas might fuck with that and be like, oh, that was hot. You know what I'm saying? To the point YouTube want to take it off of my goddamn channel. I'm still hot about that. You're not gonna undisappear the video that y'all disappeared. I mean, you can. That would make me very happy. But I know y'all ain't gonna do that, you know what I mean? Because that video was on the way to like thousands of views and shit. You know what I mean? Now I got like, I ain't got like such a big fan. Like, I don't even like to say fan, but I don't got such a big base. But my base is still important or like my piece or my square is still important in making up this overall building that anybody in the subconscious community, like, we're a part of. So that's how I look at it. Like, you know what I mean? So I get it. There's times where I'm wrong because I shouldn't be, there's certain things I should deal with myself before I even present things out into the world. So that's where I'm wrong. Like, sometimes I'm too impulsive or I'm too hasty to get something out or just to release something. You know what I mean? When maybe there's a certain way I could have maybe transmuted the energy before I released it. You know what I mean? Or I could have maybe dealt with certain things first before I just got online trying to talk crazy to YouTube. When I already know YouTube don't give a fuck about me, but you know what I'm saying? For anybody that's gonna come afterward that might watch a video, people could get the wrong idea about who you are and shit. And it's deep. This is some shit. This is all about your image. You know what I mean? And whether you got a true image, true imagination, a true character. You know what I mean? Like, are you actually who you say you are? That's like the biggest thing right now. And Dolo the Pilot, and motherfuckers like Dolo the Pilot Man been saying that shit for years. Past 3-4 years. We could go back to 2020. I remember watching video during the shutdown. Dolo the Pilot Man was talking about, watch, after everybody comes out after the shutdown, watch. The next currency is gonna be people's character. I remember watching this video. You could go back. I don't know if it's still on there. YouTube might have deleted it, but I remember watching that video. That's he really said that. He's like, the next currency, because money is it was kind of up in the air at that point, right? People were all shut down and shit. He was saying the next thing is gonna be whether people are genuinely who they are, genuine characters, and people being actually who they are, and you know what I'm saying, actually having a personality, actually being in real life. So that he said that 2, 3, 4 years ago, that's gonna be the new currency based upon your character and the type of person you are and how you treat people or how people look at you as a person and your personality and things of that nature. So, and when you get that idea, it gives you a different perspective how you look at yourself and whether you've been being authentic or not. You know what I mean? And then if you are being your authentic self, who are you? You know, people will be able to see that. Whether you being if you really being yourself is not a good or a bad thing, people are just gonna be able to see what you authentically are expressing. Whether it was some bullshit, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. But that's kind of really what people are saying. If you get called out for anything or people acknowledge you for this or for that, they really say it's a secret language saying nigga, are you for real? That's what you chose to be authentic about? Are you serious? Come on, dude. People be looking at you come on, dude, you can come better than that, bruh. Are you serious? I thought you was supposed to be this. You know what I'm saying? It'd be shit like that. You know what I mean? So I'm at least gonna address things if I'm wrong, If it sound like I'm not living my lyrics and my music or something, let me just remind the internet, because I don't really give a fuck, but let me just remind, like, first of all, people, like how I just said, I might act on certain, I might express something, or I might do something too quick. That's a real thing. A lot of people be thinking they correct in a moment or in a certain time frame or whatever, and then they don't let shit play out. Like, time goes by. You gotta let things play out sometimes. That's what a real, like, somebody who's really strategic and shit, like, you gonna let things play out. You know what I mean? It's not about addressing things right in the moment, because you might have just addressed some shit that was just like a temporary, like, feeling or something. You know what I mean? That might not actually be who you are, to just be calling certain shit out or whatever. Or you might have been wrong, or you might call something out, but you didn't have the full well-roundedness of the whatever it is you think you're trying to attack with your with your arrow skills and shit. Like, you might be trying to, like, hit on something, maybe for whatever reason. Some people are trying to expose somebody. Some people are trying to make sure they correct from their position. Some people are actually involved with said objective, subjective. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many points to shit. A lot of people just be picking one point. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you just gonna pick one point and then try to point at whatever it is you pointing to, like it's like that thing's lost, or whatever the case may be. And I'm talking about my damn self, because here I go. Let me give you an example. Here I go thinking YouTube, blah, 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 my video, right? Okay. I'm still mad about that. That's still one point. But then, time goes on, a day or two goes by. I'm realizing, I'm like, you know what? I did make a song. Here's a second point. I'm like, all right, I did make a song about some shit that is theirs. Comedy Central or South Park, right? I don't own South Park and shit. At the end of the day, if South Park, something happened to just Comedy Central and South Park, if South Park needed to take the shit off, it would, anything related would go. So it's like, all right, well, I don't necessarily own all the intellectual property to maybe a part of but the song itself is my intellectual property, my creativity. So it's like, really, it's a thing of itself. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a part of Comedy Central. Like, it is though. Like, if we're all adding on to, say, all right, because the song I'm talking about is Niggers, right? Which I used a sample from South Park. Now, South Park, man, it's so many points to this. Because first of all, you wouldn't even have TV shows about South Park if hundreds of years ago the original natives here didn't get they homes and shit eradicated and things of that nature, and settlement disputes and things of that nature back in the time. Niggas was like trading furs and exchanging goods and bargains and gains and tobaccos and, fruits of thy labors and boats and fruitful days for everybody. It was fruitful days for everybody. And then the things that led after that, right? All right. So one point is, neither of us really, Comedy Central wouldn't have a thing, and I wouldn't even had a song to be bitching and complaining about if some whole other shit didn't even occur, right? So we could, like, that's the whole point. Like, shit, we would, none of this, what we doing today, neither of us would even have a position today if the positions before us wasn't like going at it at that time. So, like, we gotta, like, put that shit to rest in certain aspects. We gotta, like, put that to the side, and then realize, like, all right, here we are, two brains, two parties here, or like all parties involved. Here we are today and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're an accumulation of the previous cycles and shit. We can't just disregard that. We can't just disregard that. Okay, if you want to disappear my video, cool, then give me my land back. It's gotta be an equilibrium. You can't just disappear my shit and not give me nothing to fulfill that space. Now I feel kind of empty. That's not cool. Cause that I created that. That was something I got it internally secure, so I don't feel like my internal. See, this is what they trying to do. I'm not feeling insecure about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm fulfilled in the area. I still know, like, nigga, I still got the song. I created it. I was able to get some type of influence out there, 500 views worth, whatever the case may be. There's other people involved. It wasn't just me. That I had a homie Cheese that helped me make it was kind of a collaboration thing at the time where bro wasn't even around. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have even made the song. Like, there's more to, like, there's a lot of stories there's like a lot of storage that makes up whatever people be trying to call a single point. So it's never really just one point of anything. There's always multiple points to one. You know what I'm saying? If you had this core point, it was made up of like 9, 10, 20 other points and shit just for that core body to even. All right, for example, real life example, what is that? Boom. Right? That's what people think is some thing floating around 40 million billion miles away. That some white man created a whole bunch of narratives around and shit to convince people like that we're going, like we're trying to get, I don't know, bro. Like we're floating around that. Like we don't spin around that. And that thing don't spin around us. How they would have thought maybe back in the day with the geocentric model, like Earth was the center of the Earth or some shit. That was some European mentality, like them just trying to like, that's their starting point, Europe over there, and then they was trying to like monopolize and capitalize off of everything around, around them and shit. Like that's they shit. But yeah, a lot of people would think like that is some object that you're gonna like see. Or a lot of people think that that's some like object of its own moving. No, light does not travel. This is where you're gonna see like all the sun trans, the bus people, all the not even just that, but just anything government related. Anything government related, pretty much, has some type of sun worship. Like Walmart, look at the Walmart logo. Sun worship, right there, boom, right? 6-pointed star. But they looking at like, and why that is really like the hidden point would be the 7th point, right? And that's based off of the 7 days. Monday, Sabbath day, Saturday, which is really the first day of the week, or the end. It's like the end beginning. And you got Sunday or one day, and you got Tuesday, which would be the 2 or the feminine, the receiving Monday, and then you got Wednesday. Oh, I said that backwards. Saturday, then Sunday, one day, and then Monday would be like the 2 energy receiving, right? And then you got Tuesday, which would be, I guess, Mars day. And then you got like Wednesday, which would be like Mercury day, Thoth day. And then you got fucking Thursday, Thor's day, which would be Jupiter day. And then you got Friday, Venus day, or whatever. And then back to Saturday. And these are just different transitions of this atmosphere that we're experiencing on a micro level type of shit. So like macro, spring, summer, fall, winter, micro down to like 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 a.m., 12 p.m. Like we play this out. Like we played out spring. We do the spring, summer, fall, winter monthly, and then we do it down to the minutes, to the seconds. Down to your goddamn all the particles that make up your body, bro. Down to you having a spring, a birth, life, death, birth, a spring, summer, fall, winter, each goddamn millisecond, if even, because you're growing new skin. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're shedding old like layers of skin, like each second. That's what they say. A lot of the dust is in the world be like people's skin that's shedded. Man, he dust in the whip. It's like, yeah, it's like niggas, it's like dead skin and shit. You know what I mean? So, or hair, like whatever, you know what I mean? Or like even parts of your clothes that are like coming apart, like you name it. You know what I mean? It's deep. Think about each layer of fat, like literally, I'm looking at the shirt right now. It's like literally, like imagine each fucking tiny ass fiber. I don't know if y'all can see that, but there's like a fiber on my finger. You know, like imagine each tiny fiber that makes up a shirt. It's probably billions of fibers just on the shirt. You know what I mean? Like just different little parts of the, like, what are you talking about? If not million, for sure million. I don't know about billions. That might have been a stretch, but for sure millions. You got millions of pieces that make up a shirt. So it's like people just mind don't be like, people mind be like in a real limitation. So some months ago I got out of this like in the most realistic fashion. I was in a Best Buy one day in Vegas. And what month was it? I don't know. I'm trying to remember if that was, I think that was like in April or something. It was before the summer. Oh no, it might have been during the summer. I was in a Best Buy. I wasn't in Vegas. I think I was in Sacramento. Wherever the fuck I was at. I think I was somewhere. If I was here, you know, just know I was here wherever I was at. And this dude was in the line or something. I just, this is just a memory I remember, like an experience I remember. I had a real like epiphany moment about people, just people in general, and the levels of limitation. And I was kind of looking at myself too, not trying to self-reflect, but I was seeing how I do the same thing, right? I was like, oh shit. But I was already more in the energy of like I'm already kind of getting out of like certain thoughts that, you know, but I don't remember all the exact words and shit, but something led to, I was talking to this white dude and shit in the line real quick while we were like kind of like being patient for the cashier dude to, you know, the guy was buying some shit, or I was buying like a USB thing and whatever. So I kind of sparked up a conversation with the dude just to kind of, you know, whatever, bro. He was kind of getting a little too close. And, you know, it's like this war for space thing. So I was in this little trial, like practices with myself, making sure I'm just at least like defending, you know, building my own, just building my own shit up. Or maybe I was creating more insecurities. But the point of what I'm saying is, I remember talking to dude, and something about God got brought up, and I remember, I think somewhere he gave credit to God or something, like, oh no, something about God, right? And then I gotta challenge that because, well, what is this God thing to you? You know what I'm saying? Most people can't go there because they ain't watching Dolo the Pilot, man. So I gotta really correct the nigga, like, well, what do you mean God and stuff? You talk about I forgot exactly what I said or how that conversation went about, but I was pretty much trying to express to him something about whatever it was. I can't even like really remember, but I remember he was for like not really, he wasn't really receiving and taking in what I was saying. And then it kind of brought me to, like, you know, I was having this conversation with him, but then also observing both of us and how that interaction was going, right? And then as soon as that was done, I could get out of it. Then I look back like, that nigga was like in a big limitation. It was something about something only, like something he believed, right? It was some shit about belief and shit, but I was kind of challenging him. I'm like, well, how come you think like that, or how come you believe that? But we see these other things, or like, you know, it was like some shit kind of like that, where I was challenging, not challenging, but just kind of like at least allowing him his own self to self-reflect onto himself, and he could kind of use me like as a wall, like kind of to bounce off of, but I wasn't attaching to myself to what he was saying, so I wasn't taking him seriously. But I know how to have a conversation with people at sometimes when I don't necessarily be attached to the person. Like I could give a fuck. So I get more into like a scientific kind of mind or psychology or whatever, where like I'm genuinely trying to learn something and I'm trying to see something in my own like psyche. All right, let me confirm something, and then I might go test it out. Not trying to do that like conscious. I just do shit, right? I just be doing shit. Sometimes I just talk, spark a conversation, And then that leads me to certain ideas and shit. I'm like, man, that nigga was in some type of limitation. Like he didn't even believe what he was saying, or whatever he's into, religion, God, whatever. He don't even really believe it like that. Like I can see that in people. You know, people just be talking, they think they know what they saying, and then when you know the real starting points to these terms and shit, you could, like, people just be full of shit left and right. And then you really see how people lie to themselves to try to make themselves seem more knowledgeable or appear to be a certain way or whatever, or just for them to maybe for their own self to not feel like insecure about who they are. They feel like they gotta know something or have the right thing to say at any given moment, and that's not God. That's not life. In fact, you won't hear a goddamn thing from like an animal or something, or a plant or a tree. You don't see trees speaking English. When's the last time you heard a tree talk some English? But I bet you the trees communicate with each other, and I bet you the trees, all the trees know each other, and I bet you the trees know life and existence and the atmosphere when it's supposed to be spring, summer, fall, winter, and then the trees behave according to that season. I don't see trees being all summery in the wintertime, unless they're synthetic trees, like a palm tree or something, right? So that's how you know some shit be man-made, like a palm tree. Because it's like, why? How come the palm tree didn't behave like all the other trees that might be shedding leaves and shit and be naked and stuff in the wintertime? You gotta peep game. See, y'all gotta peep game, bro. It's deep. This shit be deep as hell. But yeah, just different spaces and shit. Let me get back to the. I don't know. I was kind of like not all over the place, but yeah, somewhat. You know what I mean? But it was all relevant to the main point, like spaces and shit. Like a bird, you got different types of birds and shit. Not all birds fly the same, but they be in that bird reality. You know what I'm saying? They're in the bird evolution, in the bird race. They all be birds though. They be flying. So they don't all not it's not like, right, for example, like humans, right? People in humanity and shit get lost like in some colorism or some shit, or like what they was taught to be as far as like race and racism, which is all somebody else's agenda. But if people are really genuinely paying attention and not just listening to somebody else, you'll look in nature and see like, all right, I'm a human, or I'm having this human experience. Like I know I'm not a human, but in the context of somebody thinking to themselves, right? In that point of view, like, all right, somebody thinking to themselves, like, all right, I'm a human, I'm here, I'm having this human experience, whether they say it like that or not. They looking at themselves though, like, all right, I'm here. You can see other humans here. So you in a world where you're not just the only human here. You in fact, there's millions and billions of humans. So this is how you know we actually more smaller in the broader context of things, because the more something is, the more add-on it is. That means there was more accumulation before it. So the more of some, the more that there is a sum of things. The sum, addition, adding. See, this is the shout out to flights, you know, for the math and stuff, for the esoteric gematria and numerologies and stuff. But yeah, just knowing addition, the real addition, not some man teaching you what addition is, which that wasn't necessarily wrong, but just knowing like, all right, there's a sum here, a sum, a summary. You know, there's a sum here. Not to give no power to the Marians and shit, but the sum of things, like, you know, okay, there's a lot of this. There's a lot of this. So that must be, okay, it can't be the original thing then. Like, you know, it can't be, like, who is the original human? Nobody would ever be able to answer that, because there wasn't no, like, this was just the first original group of humans. No, nigga, all of us got here together. You know, and then that was a whole, like, process. But what I'm saying is, you got different birds and shit. Just like there's different humans and shit with different abilities. Some humans know how to build better than others. Some humans know how to goddamn flip a McDonald's burger better than others. Some humans know how to, I guess, be in the government bodies and shit better than others, apparently. Right? Which, yeah. whoever decides that. And we need a different way of like who's deciding to be in certain positions in the world. Like somewhere down the line, somebody was able to just like buy their way in and not have none of the abilities that match the actual land that they're trying to claim as like this is where they came from or something. But you don't match none of the qualities of that environment. So how did you come from there? For example, if you see a certain like flower that only grows in a certain environment, for example, like marijuana plants or something, you're not gonna see marijuana plants just growing in Serbia, like out in the snow or in the ice. You're not gonna see just trees and plants and shit in Serbia. And then if you do, you're gonna have to question that. Like, how did this fucking tree get here in Serbia? And then most likely the only thought you're gonna come to is some man-made idea. But you'll question that, like, the fuck is a tree doing in Serbia? And then that tree might not even last long. You're gonna know that being from Serbia or something. Like, man, that tree don't even belong here. It's not gonna last long here. It's not gonna survive. It's not gonna have a thriving progression where it might become a forest or something. You know, say it's like a group of trees, like 2 or 3 or 4 trees. You're like, man, them trees is finished here. They're never gonna be a forest here. It's too cold. You get it? Like, so why would people think anything different? Why would anybody think anything different else about life? If you don't match a certain environment, you don't match the environment. You should try to figure out where you need to be at. So you might need to go somewhere else. You might need to go to Argentina. You know what I'm saying? If you feel weird out here in these Western lands and shit, there's parts of you, because we all kind of like mixtures and stuff. So it's just about, you know, getting on your 1-2 better. You know what I mean? Parts of you might need to take a trip. Like I took a trip to Hawaii, bro. That was like great. And then ever since I took a trip to Hawaii, ever since I went to Hawaii and came back, I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, nigga, I know who I am now for real. Because, you know, and that's actually probably more who I am. You know, the cancer energies and stuff out there, the tropics and stuff. So that was just like a piece that I needed to get back. So this is how you like this is how you practice the you know, trying to get trying to find your footprints in the sand kind of energy and stuff. But you got to know who you are first and shit. Know where, like, what kind of energies you come from. See, this is how I know I've been here, because most people like not even thinking or talking like this, even with the reminder or not. I know a lot of niggas I was watching Dolo the Pilot, man. Shit, a lot of people who don't even fucking talk. They don't never sound like this. But you know what they be sounding like? Some washy who shit. Some foreign type of shit, some shit that's not from here, some European shit, or some other shit, some Spaniard man shit, some Japanese man shit, Asian man type shit, or some shit, right? And this is not me knocking anybody. This is just everybody comes from a certain background. So I might be more maybe on a certain percentage level. I might need to be more in the island type areas and shit. As far as my lineage and shit, as far as my background. That don't mean I gotta be there. I just gotta make sure I'm in some type of tropical kind of energy. And then there's times where that might not be so favorable. So that's me knowing, like, all right, I gotta be wise as a spirit to kind of know how to navigate and go with the tides and shit. You know, there might be a time where I need to be more cool. I need to chill out. Which you know what I'm saying? It's a work in progress. But this is self-evaluation. This is the real shadow work. If you ain't thinking and feeling like this enough throughout each day, bro, this ain't like I've been doing this enough. I've been doing this long enough to like just to be in this rhythm. And a lot of times work gets in the way of that. You know what I mean? There's just things, responsibilities and shit. Some people got kids. A lot of people got kids and shit, so a lot of people aren't even free enough to be free enough to, like, you know what I mean? They space be already filled up with other shit, so they don't be knowing how to open up and expand more. They still paying attention to whatever spaces they need to pay attention to create minds there and keep them minds developed and shit. Keep creating new minds, I should say. Or sometimes we're trying to focus on certain minds that we're trying to build up and raise. Those be the real children. Like you're trying to create a certain mind and uphold it, but it might be a mind that's not really in your favor. Just how you see a bird ain't gonna try to be like do human shit unless it's on that path of like trying to be a human next. But a bird is just doing the bird natures, and then if anything, he's trying to like learn from humans. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, or the whatever is, you know what I'm saying? Whatever is like more, and whatever like, because it's not like the bird is underneath nothing. The tree might be bigger than the bird, but the bird and the tree can't exist without each other. It's like that. You know what I mean? It's like these are just states of being that we all have access to, and we're really not supposed to get lost in any particular one biasness of any thoughts or feelings. You're supposed to use everything like a bitch. So the moment you don't, it's like when things start using you like a bitch, and you appear to be a bitch. You know what I mean? So for anybody out there that ever got called a bitch, or people think you a bitch at any point, it's because you ain't dealt with something internally first, and you ain't using your bitch correctly for what your spirit knows it's supposed to. Yeah, ain't what you should be doing. So a lot of times you go a lot of times individuals like spirits be going against God just by going against they self and their own nature. Their nature might be, somebody might be, I ain't trying to say this. Now there's certain things we're trying to get out of, so it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So say somebody they got a certain nature, like they want to kill people. It's not about actually going and killing people. You could kill people with comedy. You could kill people with your acting skills or something. Go do a movie and kill niggas and shit, and go do a whole John Wick movie. You get what I'm saying? Instead of Keanu Reeves actually going out and doing the John Wick, he probably was like, it's probably better for me to be an actor where I can still express these characters and get paid for it and not go to jail and not actually hurt nobody. You get it? It's not what you do, it's how you do it. So, yeah, you ain't gonna see a bird trying to like fly against the wind current. The fuck, yeah, I said a bird ain't flying against the wind current. It's going with the current. Yeah, man, what the fuck? So you got a lot of people flying against the wind current. You know, you got a lot of people out here like that think they ain't a some type of animal race of being type of shit. Because humans are animals in a lot of ways. Not to get lost in all that shit, because that's how the white man look at people, like animalistic and shit, from a very detached like nature out the box, like as if they ain't. You know, everybody's like just some type of creature thing. You know what I'm saying? So let's not get lost in like what the fuck is humanity at this point. But there are certain things that, see, like God made everything. You know, God created shit. It's not humans creating God. Like that's backwards. What the fuck? But that's what no. Excuse me, let me clear that up, because that's kind of like what we're here to do. We're here to bring God into reality. But you got a group of humans that got they narcissism and they ego attached and a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, a whole bunch of certain thoughts and feelings that they kind of like separated themselves, you know what I'm saying, from existence to some degree. So they got to keep that lie going. But it's like we're here in the world to bring God into reality, because we all have a piece of God. So it's not about us hiding our piece of God and not sharing because that's what brought us here. Teamwork makes the dream work and shit. That's how we got here. That's how you got here and stuff. And shit like that. Like, I wouldn't be me if it wasn't for all the people, places, and things and experiences that I had to go, that I had to, you know what I'm saying, endure or an experience and get out of in order for me to be who I am today. Like, mentally, you know what I'm saying? That plays out physically. So, like, mentally, I had to be in a certain place just for me to even have certain thoughts and feelings that I'm going to act on to become my body. Yeah, it's like, it's deep. It's deep. So we could really see who's, like, tapped in and who's just, like, in some synthetic world for real. You know what I mean? Like, and if anything, there's a balance. So, like, I be knowing, like, I'm here in this world, but I ain't of it. You know what I mean? And that's when, like, anytime I get too lost into my own ego and shit is when I'm going away from God. And then that's going to mean more separation I got to do to get back to God type shit. Or get right with myself. And how you go about that is your own individual travel, your own individual path. But it's easy to get, like, lost because you develop so many minds and shit. There might have been a mind when you was the fish, and there were certain qualities of fish, the fish world, realm and shit that we created as the collective and shit. So it's like certain things that were good and bad based upon each space in their own relative position, right? So, like, there might have been times where I was a shark, and there's qualities I might be using now, like, as far as the shark. Now you go look at the shark, all right, so something about the shark and how a shark move, you know what I mean, you could use that, and then this is where you get that concept, like, sharks in the business world, or like whales. It's really Whale Mart, you know what I mean? It's not even Walmart, it's really Whale Mart. The original people that created Walmart, or that family or whatever, they really were like whales spiritually at the time. They were spiritual whales. They got so light. They were like light beings, but they inverted, and they're like up. They became whales and shit. That light had to bend in on itself. And 3D, it played out as they were whales. Some heavy ass accumulation of light. Whether that was some good light or bad light, it was a whole heavy accumulation, and that played out like them creating Walmart or Whale Mart. Now, if you think about whales and shit, whales are a big part of the ocean. So, naturally, Whale Mart was going to play a big role in feeding the other creatures of the sea. You know what I mean? Think about it like this, like a whale, right? Eats all that kelp and stuff. Whales will eat all kind of fishes and shit. And then whales are providing too, you know what I mean? Like, whales are providing food to their children and stuff. Or like the beans, like, they ain't got digested yet. There's probably be beans inside of the whale and shit, and the whale will be like having a whole world inside of itself before all the beans transition fully in the, you know, it's like deep. It's deep, you know what I'm saying? So a whale might eat like 10 fish, and then there might be like a bean inside of the whale that's like, all right, well, I got a fish to eat, you know what I mean, before I get killed or something. Like, bro, I know that's kind of lost. That's some lost shit. But I'm pretty much just making, like, it's space within space. So, like, it could be a tiny ass plankton or something, and then the kelp in just in the water, and the whales, like, you know, just like consuming water and shit and kelp and eating things. And then, like, there's a whole world inside of the whale, though, before, like, that whale even digests anything outwardly as like poop or shit. So this is like what we're all doing. So I'm looking at Whale Mart like, damn, they over here eating all these people. Anybody that comes in and out of Whale Mart and not really aware, like, why they in there and shit, you think you're going in there to buy some food. The store is really eating you. You know what I mean? Like, you think you're going in there for like a gallon of milk. No, you just got milked. by the whales and shit, by the whale niggas, them whale elites, elite whales and stuff. They be heavy as hell. They just take up like, you know what I mean? And if it's like the ocean is dry right now, shit, it might be the whale just like in the ocean, but it still got all this water inside of itself, and there's a whole world going on inside of it. The whale still, the whale could have already died and shit. We got this whole world still like going on inside of the whale. This is where we get concepts like the Jesus Christ type of whales, and like us being inside of a being, and then like people, there's like certain, there was like maybe at one point certain groups, well, they still kind of do this where they be trying to call on like certain spirits. They don't maybe know this is what they doing. Certain niggas in government positions and shit, Masons and shit, Jews and shit, but they be like calling on this like Jesus Christ character that they got in their mind or something that they think is like some world they going to and shit like that. So they like this the shit they be creating in out here for people to experience. Like everybody's looking for some kind of light and shit. You know what I mean? And like people are trying to get the sun, and like yeah, like people are trying to get some type of like nourishment and shit. If things are more mental, people are trying to fulfill they trying to like, so that's where people be backwards, like trying to get to God, but like using external means of doing it, trying to feed your body, and then your body will be like feeding your mind, and then your mind's supposed to feed God and shit. That's the real way of doing it if you do it correct. But like people be doing like you're really supposed to do it like you came from God, then you got a certain type of mind, and then you do that, you act that out in the flesh, your body. That would be the way we would be bringing God into this world and feeding God, because then God could eat you and live. You know what I'm saying? Act through you and live through you. Now you a piece of God, a piece that God could eat, like a piece of candy or something. Where if you're doing it backwards, you trying to get to God. So that's a being that already convinced they ain't got God within them, and they're trying to use things outside of them to get close to all possibilities but they starting from a limited perspective. So whatever God it is that people think they're trying to reach from that starting point is some made up concept for real. Probably that the you know what I'm saying, the business or God.gov and like the government, some shit they came up with based upon trying to maintain a certain position of like rulership, or without not even just rulership, but like they're just trying to maintain a certain position of order, or where they're in control, or they got some type of authority, or they got like a handle on the situation. You know what I'm saying? Where they looking at like they're raising everybody, and everybody's up under their household now and in their village. But all they did was just do some like spiritual mafia tactics. All they did was like real life mafia tactics. Came settled and shit. As soon as they figured out enough, then maybe there was certain disagreements as far as the original settlers at the time, invaders or pilgrim man, and then how they was going about, or how the natives was going about, the native nation practices and rituals and cycles of things and relating and stuff. And then a lot of the pilgrims and shit, the foreigners or Spaniard mans and shit, they might not have like knew they might not have actually matched or know how to get down with that energy. So that's where like disagreements started. Motherfuckers that got welcomed in to somebody else's house, then they don't agree with the house rules or know how to get aligned with the house rules, then you get certain manipulation tactics where now you got niggas that was guests really are trying to like run the household now when they had no business doing so. Now the house is in shambles, disorderly, it's messy, like that video Quavo and Takeoff did, which was crazy because that video came out right before Takeoff got killed. And that was a messy state of being for brother dying. He actually created a messy circumstance where he died. It was just messy. Like, niggas was bowling, then they started gambling, and then somehow something led to a gun being pulled out, and somehow niggas get killed. Just, bitches get horny, niggas die, like Tupac said. So like messy shit, you know what I mean? A lot of it has to do with the feelings and emotions. So a lot of times it was females involved. For anybody who want to pull out a gun or anything, niggas are trying to like play some machismo. Who's more the powerful ego or something like some machismo, macho man. But it's like a space thing. So it's just like this is just shit people spirits do or just nature does. Period. Like who's more the adult spirit, or who's gonna outweigh? Not necessarily that, but which spirit or which group, a collection of spirit lights and shit is gonna outweigh the other one. And shit, and that's like that'd be the battle each damn near day and stuff. So like when you put yourself in a certain position, you're not even in that little dichotomy. Like people don't even know how to fuck with you for until you like put yourself in some type of compromising in close enough where they might be able to. But even then, like they might physically be able to like do something, but spiritually they don't even know. They still don't get where you're coming from. Even if see, and then that's where you more in control because you creating the situation. You create events. You create atmospheres and shit. You create environments. You create mentalities, and you could put death to environments, and you put death to shit at will. You give birth to shit at will. You know what I'm saying? You give life to shit at will. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just about being intelligent with yourself. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty much gonna wrap this up here. Yeah, just knowing, just looking at nature. You know what I mean? Birds and shit. The way certain birds be, they got different bodies, different structures and stuff, but they all birds. Like they still fly. They still gonna eat, eating, sleeping, and fucking. You know what I mean? I don't know if animals really sleep like that, like birds and shit, but I guess they do because you don't see them at nighttime. Like owl, it's just different. Like owls come out at night, like just different. There's different cycles and shit. You know what I mean? Owls ain't and hummingbirds don't move the same. A hummingbird moves a certain way. You know, a woodpecker bird moves a certain way. But they're all birds though, right? So those would be just different phenotypes in the bird family. You know what I'm saying? You don't see birds at each other's neck though for being like racist and colorism and shit. Like you're not a brown bird. I'm an owl and I'm brown. You don't see that. Like what kind of just dumbass shit? This is dumbass shit. And I ain't never been in no black and white concept my whole life. Like people be like, oh, you're not black enough. Oh, you're not white enough. And I'd be like, what? What are you talking about? I'm never gonna look like a black t-shirt, and I'm never gonna see anybody with a white that looks like a white t-shirt. So what are you talking about? Who's actually black or white? And that's where like we was just kids at certain stages where, you know what I'm saying, people didn't really know what they was saying, but I didn't necessarily know what I'm aware of now as far as all the ins and outs to that, but I did already know like on some spiritual shit. Like I already knew whatever it is I picked up on years later as far as the information and shit, putting two and two together. But this is shit I already knew. Like I already knew these was just like, huh? Like these are terms. Like I already knew this because I had to learn language. I had to be taught language. Like I remember my mom trying to teach me how to read and showing me signs, and I'd play like I Spy with my little eye, and then I'd have to like point something out that she thought was a certain color or something. You know what I mean? So I've been knowing how to like separate colors and shit. My mom was an Aries Libra, and my mom was an Aries Libra, but she made sure I was goddamn even day, even night for real. At least from her, what she was able to like teamwork makes the dream work with me and stuff. You know what I mean? Like nobody got all the answers. So nobody got all the answers for your life. That's another thing people need to learn how to accept. Like you ain't supposed to have all the answers to shit. That's not life, bro. That would mean like everything is already like people already know what's like then everybody would just know what's gonna happen and everybody would be moving at the same. You know what I mean? Like everybody would just be moving a certain way at the same time based upon this like generalized understanding of whatever motion that everybody, whatever some agreed upon. Like, all right, we all know it's only moving like this. So when the head goes this way, feet, you got to make sure you go like that's some narky shit that only some nigga in a in a government position would come up with to make sure nobody try to create their own shit. You know, and everybody just give all they direction to these cats, and then these cats feel important because like ha ha ha, look at all of them. They need us for direction. They don't even like think nothing else. They just look at it like, all right, let's. They don't even. They're not even like shocked probably now. They're like, all right, we're going. How are we gonna direct these niggas now? Like they look at like they the shepherd or something. But everything they doing, they copied from the natives. So if anybody copied anybody, it was the Washihu Pilgrim, foreign European niggas, white men over there on the monarchy throne and shit. Them niggas was copying people here that already had a government established. And all they had over there was like some get down or lay down energy. Who survival of the, like more like survival of the fittest qualities. Like I could hit you upside the head more times than you gonna hit me upside the head. You know what I mean? And then that would determine who's gonna be in charge, apparently. Like how many times niggas could get whooped and shit like that. And then niggas that got tired of getting whooped, they were like, man, let's go somewhere else, man. This is lame. Or some shit. And they came over here and then pretty much repeated the same shit that they was trying to get away from. Which is crazy, because that's really what everybody be doing, you know what I'm saying? So like what you doing now is the same shit you always been doing. You know what I mean? And I've been in this kind of mentality where like I'm trying to run some shit. I've been, you know, I was playing like certain video games where like I was in charge, I was commanding shit. Like, you know, I was a Comanche, or like I was commanding this general, you know, like I was commanding these niggas to the battlefield. Like, all right, I'm gonna put get these barracks niggas going, get that building built. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get that shit going, because you can't build this without that next. You know, you can't build that certain building until you get the baker, you know, until you get the barracks and the what they call that shit? The little not like it'd be called like a I forgot all these terms, but I remember playing like Stronghold Crusaders and shit. Like all this shit was like they shit, but like it still gave me like if you go back in the days and shit, that's like when niggas was tapped in. It don't matter what ethnicity it was, bro. Like the main point was you supposed to be creating a culture. You know what I'm saying? Just the way niggas went about it was, you know, it is what it is type shit. But the main point is like, nigga, you supposed to be trying to run some shit. You know what I mean? Now I run shit. I might not look like I run shit, but my mind is goddamn just my presence moving around certain environments and shit. You know what I mean? Now if I don't match a certain, or like if I start feeling like it's time to go, I'm gonna leave. You know, I'm gonna just go to a different area and some shit, let that place recharge or something. A lot of times that would it be. It don't necessarily mean I gotta stop going to places. It's just that might be a lot of times I might just be too rooted into any one position at a time. So I'm not maybe the best like flower right now, but life ain't this man-made shit wasn't built for niggas to flow. It was built for like you either at a job, some work building and shit, giving all your time and shit, you gonna be there. Or you on the road going to a restaurant that we built where somebody's working. You get it? Or some other shit, or school or something. You going to one of our facilities. You going to one of our institutions, one of our buildings. So like now I'm in this mentality. I look like all these buildings are like in they template, and I don't even really match none of these shits. So I be trying to like fit in with the ones that like still fuck with me enough to like let me be there and shit, and allow me. They damn near like they ain't gonna have a problem with me being there, because I ain't create no goddamn some riffraff or some shit. You know what I mean? Now there's times where I may be wrong and shit, but y'all kind of get what I'm saying. Like if whoever's gonna watch this, just know like there's cycles going on and shit. So this is stuff I'm still trying to like remind myself about. Like there's so many layers and shit, like so many filters, there's so much shit, baggage and all kind of just shit in the world. A lot of times I don't be just moving anywhere, so I'm like in a real reevaluation moment, and I'm really like putting together like, all right, what is it I'm actually here to be doing? Like what do I really want to do? You know what I mean? not just lie to myself like, oh, I could do that, or I could do that, or I could do that. And like, no, who am I? Who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me be who I am, type shit. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? A bee ain't trying to be a bird. I don't see birds trying to be bees. I don't see birds and bees trying to be deer or like squirrels and shit. I don't see like squirrels trying to be a flower. I don't see like things trying to like be other things that they know they can't be. And I don't see these things trying to lie to these creatures trying to lie to themselves like they could be like a Superman when they know they a fucking squirrel. You know that type of shit. Like, so if the world could get back to them type of ways of thinking, everybody be in more healthier healthier positions and healthier spaces where you're gonna be more open to life and not be so scared. A lot of people just be scared of the unknown, but like maybe they forgot that that's how you got here by yourself. And by yourself meaning like the team of yous and shit that kind of make up you. Now a lot of people, that's where a lot of people get lost in their own like ego for a moment. They might think who they are is who they are and shit, but like you got a whole body made up of like millions of billions of cells. Don't get lost in thinking like whatever one of your chakras way of thinking is the overall way of thinking, because that's where you might create health problems in your life where you was just paying too much attention to certain areas of your body and shit, and not enough attention to the other parts of your body that at least be like equilibrium and not, you know what I mean, not all imbalanced. So the world by default kind of be like imbalanced by default because there might not even be certain business like certain objects or objectives that match your subjective as far as what you know you need to subjectively get off, but there might not be no sufficient way of going about that. So that's where people like, you know, like myself and others, where I have to create, you know, create and initiate like these new things for people. Because maybe the old ways of doing shit might have worked, but now that they dried up, we need some new shit. The previous ways is we can't go back to those spaces. You know, they might have been like this at one point, and then as we're moving, you know, as we're moving forward, them previous spaces might start to shrink up. You know what I mean? Baseball, like if you're driving, right, going down the street, you get go. Whatever's behind you gets further and further back. You know what I'm saying? You can't until you maybe go, but you know what I'm saying? So that's where like shit is playing out right now. Like people are trying to go back, and there might not be nothing to go back to, even if it appears to be like that. That's like a mirage or something. You know what I mean? That's like you might think you're going into the Walmart, Whale Mart, and you think you're going to do some old way of doing some things, grabbing that what's familiar to you, like a bag of chips. But if you're still doing it in the old, outdated way of looking at it, then that's like a mirage kind of like example experience where you going whatever you eat or whatever you do, it's not gonna fulfill you. You pretty much just had like an imaginary like moment for real, because when that moment is done and you kind of get back to a point where you got to sit down again and look at yourself, like you might even forgot what you even did. Like it's that deep. You might even forgot shit that you thought you was even doing, bruh, because you was so lost. So that's like, it's serious. You don't want to be that. You don't want to like start losing your mind for real, where you start forgetting like certain shit. But I'm dealing with certain like head traumas and stuff where I've been like, I just dealt with a lot of shit, traumas and stuff. So my brain be tired. My body be, I don't want to say my brain, but like whatever I'm paying attention to, it's kind of crazy. Sometimes like, you just know you supposed to know when shit is done and when time is up for things. So that's all I'm gonna say. Thank you. When and there sometime I don't know how to trying to do L's and the W's type shit. You know what I'm saying? To sum it up though, like yeah, different spaces create out of different. There's different all possibilities of spaces, and teamwork makes the dream work. And sex is the joining of multiple energies to create a new mind or a new spaceship or a new environment to jump into, a new three. You know what I'm saying? And three becomes four. Once you jump in it, you get once you jump inside that three, inside of that world, that swirl, and you start adding lines and logic and direction to it, and giving names and meanings and reasonings and titles to it, like Jupiter energy, Jupiter. And then five, you get whatever feeling you get being in that world with the after you just gave a bunch of shit like, okay, that's that, that's that, that's that, that's that, that's that, that, okay, boom, whatever feeling you get from that, then that's six. Then that's like you expanding that world you just created, right? Now you got on more of a, now you got more of a cycle. Now you got more of things, more of something, a substance to sit in, more of a substance to like situate yourself in. Make sure that's not something that's like you gonna be stuck in mentally, but like it should be a spaceship or a situation that matches your three, your mind. You know what I'm saying? And your mind is a collection of thoughts and feelings. So whatever thoughts and feelings you was initially paying attention to created your three, your 3D, your third dimension, your mind, your environment. And then once you jump inside of that, for example, say you out here experiencing shit, and now you start giving names and meanings and reasons and titles to shit. Then five, you create a seal, and then that creates like more layer to more depth to the situation. So yeah, I could keep going, but my phone finna let me plug my shit. That seven would be like your ability to sever or separate from that six, from that situation, based upon whether you what you agree with, what you disagree with. You might have like, all right, I like this, but I ain't really necessarily care for that. And you go boom, seven, and then you take yourself out. It's like you taking yourself out of that situation you just like blew up and expanded. Now you're able to pull yourself out of it, look at it, look at, you know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, seven, and then you could like do an 8, 9. You know, and then you get another feeling in that world and shit, that angelic kind of like place. And then 7, 8, whatever feeling you get from that seven, what you just seen from that angle, being after you was in the six and you was like, all right, and then wherever you know what I'm saying, you looked at it from that point of view, more of your angelic natures from a different angle. So you have different ways to attack that six. Now you can look at it from like all different kind of points and shit like that, and come to many broad points of different possibilities of that situation, right? And conclusions and shit. And then you get 8, you know what I'm saying? Then that's like you spent enough time and shit. You were able to like create a vibe, some type of like infinity. You might have been in that kind of in that position for like in forever. You might have, you know what I'm saying? You might have been like a 7 the whole time. You know what I mean? You've never been a 1 or a 0. You've been a 7 the whole time, living through these 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And everybody in might have thought you was a 0 or a 1 or a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but you was really like 7 the whole time, from like the real, behind the curtains. You know what I'm saying? Behind the scenes, before the scenes. You help make the scene and shit. You help put the stage together. You help create the environment in that position right there. You're able to like, I did that right there. That was me right there. You see that right there? That was me, bitch. I hit right there. I was hitting right there. And that shit was hitting, huh? When you make some food or something, and that was hitting, huh? Cooking and shit. It's an 8. An 8 type of shit. You know what I mean? 8 womb, the mother and shit. So it's like you taking your 7 and putting yourself in the womb. Now you're like back in the womb again, 8 and shit. And then shit, you finna be a 9. You finna get birthed into a whole nother reality. That's you know what I mean? As soon as that 9 transitions and you come out as a 1, a 10, and then you could go into a new space, 10, and then do it, expand, keep expanding. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's real simple shit, man. It's really not. Make things simple first, then go deep. You know what I mean? Shout out to Flights. Shout out to the Dole Pie, man.
more people in the world were watching Dolo the Pie, man, none of us would even be confused about shit. We'd all be on the same similar tangent where we know just general things that the human experience is experiencing. Then we wouldn't even need to go back and forth over. Like, look at the camera. Well, my camera got fucked up, but just illusions and shit. Like, that's not my. That's like a second hand that got. You know what I'm saying? Like, but my hand is holding the phone. You get it? So I'm like, I just created a third hand. But not really though, because it's just a reflection of this hand. So stop self-reflecting. You know, if you're self-reflecting out there too much, go sit down somewhere. Go sit down somewhere before you project whatever it is onto the next person. I'm talking about my damn self because I done projected some negativity outwardly, and then I look back and I'm like, okay, that wasn't cool. You know what I mean? Especially online. So I was like, or even in real life, like especially in real life, bro. You get real life results. So I'm living my shit, bro. I ain't scared of dying. I ain't scared of being humiliated. I ain't scared of being ridiculed. I don't care about validation. I could give a fuck if you like me, dislike me, want to fight me, not fight me. I could care less. I'm not here really for nobody other than for God and expand life. That's the time really everybody need to be on. Stop focusing on the next nigga. You know what I'm saying? Which is easier said than done because a lot of ways we need each other to help fulfill that that duty for God. So you can't do it by yourself. It takes an accumulation. It takes a team. Whether you was the drug dealers know what I'm talking about. Drug dealer don't judge they fiend. They fiend is a part of the team. And the fiend, the fiend knows that. The fiend knows he a fiend or he or she's a fiend, but the fiend ain't trying to fight they fiendism. They know they a fiend. So at least I guess if whatever kind of fiend they was, you know what I'm saying? They might got been like a fiend for like somebody like Rollo or somebody. That fiend is probably maybe a fiend that was following better thoughts and feelings while being a fiend. You know what I'm saying? Where there might be other fiends that are like somewhere trying to defend themselves and defend themselves and shit. You know what I mean? And then they end up like just being with a whole bunch of other fiends and like maybe they don't go nowhere fast. Like, maybe they fiend trials, like some of them might need to stop being. And none of them, they might be following the wrong different type of thoughts and feelings. I don't say wrong, but they might be following certain thoughts and feelings not in their favor as they positions as fiends. So it's all just positions. You're really supposed to go with the thoughts and feelings of positions that align more with where your space was at. No thing. But a lot of people don't even know they got a space or what their space is, what's in their space, the sex they did, the sharing of spaces that they did, the joining of spaces they did with other people, places, and things. You still got kids that you ain't taking care of, all kind of shit, bro. You can't just like join with things and then just leave the kid and then just leave the woman to be a single mother. You know what I mean? You gotta take care of your responsibilities and shit. So that's where I didn't really like. If I was more aware of these things early on, I would have probably made different choices with my life. But I kind of like acted out similar thoughts and feelings that not really my dad, but the being that was before me that joined with my mother. And that guy wasn't even really around. But see, this is where like seeds be planted deep. It could be some shit you not even like. To me, that's like a generational curse that I've been experiencing. I don't even agree with that, but in some aspects I played out that a lot of the same qualities that spirit did, just going places, joining with places, and then not even really fucking being aware of like that's what was going on. Like you creating a byproduct, just you showing up and joining with that space, well not that, but joining with that earth, that womb and shit.
whatever child you create out of that is like your responsibility to raise as a kid. And these are like light forms and shit. These aren't like actual children yet, but they will become people, places, and things like that might lead to you having kids with actual female. Like, so why y'all check yourselves before you have 5 kids. Being 21 years old, for all you young niggas out there, don't be having like 4 or 5 kids if your ass is like depressed and still listening to Juice World and shit like that, or fucking whatever music you listen to, young NBA young boys and shit. Like, look at Young Boy, for example. Nigga had all these kids, all these family ties and shit, relationships with females, whoever, like disagreements with other rappers, all these little interactions and shit. And all that, he didn't take no accountability in certain aspects. And then where did that lead him up in? Now, I ain't saying this is a right or wrong thing. This is like some other man's concept of how they trying to correct people, or like correct certain things, or make an example out of people, or like keep their little like fear mongering grip on society. Like, they might set niggas up, or they created the scenario where people like do it to themselves. Now, bruh, in jail or something, right? And then anybody that was like following NBA YoungBoy are like a part of that pack that YoungBoy was initiating as a body and shit. So like, the spirit's gonna go there to jail with, bruh. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of spirits are in jail right now because they was like maybe NBA YoungBoy fans, and now that nigga's in jail. Now there's probably a lot of spirits that are like, fuck, he's not putting out no music. They might actually feel like they're in jail just because bruh's in jail. They're like, fuck, man, free YoungBoy. And then their life is not like they ain't doing shit. You know what I mean? And they like sitting around waiting for NBA YoungBoy music to come out again, so they could like listen to more NBA YoungBoy music when they go to work or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like but motherfuckers be in jail though, like, because they was following a spirit that led them to jail. Certain people actually acted on whatever the songs and shit, the music. They ended up getting killed or go to jail. So this is serious. Don't just be playing random ass rap music and shit about whatever the fuck. And don't just be saying whatever the fuck in your music either. If you make me or whatever, you're a content creator, whatever it is, bro. Y'all just be like, people just be not giving a fuck about their spirit and their space. Let all kind of things outside of them outweigh them and shit, and dictate what they actions finna be and how they finna look at themselves and all kind of shit. And people just get all kind of like spiritually possessed and raped and abused and just like did wrong and shit. Or people put they self in their own sunken places and let one of their other like mini selves or they mini me's and shit take the wheel, or like one of they lower selves and shit. I don't even like to say high or low, but like one of they minis and shit, you know, like one of they versions of they self that might not be like so favorable for the entire body. It might just have a certain, that's what I'm trying to say, like you might just have a certain group of beings that run like your gut area, or run like your for the males and females, your private, your sexual organs area. And then that's like niggas that can't keep they you know what in they pants, or a female that can't keep her legs closed. She gave, or that might be where her solar, like her sun and her moon is at. So it'd be where the moon placement be at too. Like they feel like that's where they gotta act on shit, or that's where they feel like they constantly there's a stage for, or what they react to and respond to. You know, maybe people need to react and respond more to they dreams, they Pisces energies in the feet. Maybe people might, they might spend too much time in the thighs. They might be at the gym too much doing squats. They might fuck around and get and pull a hamstring. For you Sagittariuses out there, don't be doing too much with your hamstrings. You might pull a sciatic nerve, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is real shit. This is real shit. This is real shit.
I might care too much and get into and put myself in a situation where I experience all the emotional care and turmoil, whether it was good or bad. Like nobody else experienced it but me. And it's some shit I created. And I might, if I'm lost enough, I might blame everybody else. But no, me knowing myself, I'd be like, damn, I just created that whole event just for me to receive the same energy I was just pushing out. Like shit like that. So that's where I'm becoming more aware because my sun and moon are the same. So it's like whatever I push out it comes back to me. So I'm like now I'm realizing like all the good times in my life when I was like doing like just being myself genuinely, you know what I mean? Like being cool and shit. Well, it just depends, like, cause I'm being myself, but I'm just looking at the octaves and stuff. Like maybe times where I didn't transmute the energy the best might have led me to more, negative outcome or negative type of scenarios where I might have created organ implosion or something, or I did like some shit that I was supposed to get out of, or I did some shit that got me here to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it'd be shit like that. Trying trying to balance ourselves out. And again, I'm not perfect, man. This is like shit that I'm fighting not I guess kind of fighting myself, but this is shit that I'm dealing with myself with, and everybody got like every day is like an uphill battle for everybody. So it's not about it's not about pointing the finger. And this is shit I'm like guilty of, like not guilty, but I know I gotta take accountability for, because I ain't been the best like human being to people. You know what I mean? In actual life, you know what I mean? Now I realize like, oh, okay, yeah, like people got their own lives, bro. Like you might have said, you might have treated somebody a certain way or said something a certain kind of way or whatever the fuck, and then now that might have fucked up their spiritual path for a few lifetimes in that area. You know what I'm saying? Because you might have like turned them off in a certain kind of way. So don't go around turning people off. That's a real thing. That's like you might have more awareness about something, or you might be in a certain position, and it's like you got some type of ability where you good at shutting people's like electricity off and stuff, or shutting people's power off, or you just like a certain type of being that's like you're not attractive. You're not really attractive like that, so you turn people off. They're not trying to. They're not. You're not turning people on like you know what I'm saying? You're like turning people off, instead of turning people on, like you know what I mean? So it's only two brains here. It's just a matter of matching each scenario, like people, places, and things. So other spirits are good at like other spirits have developed these type of bodies and shit, or they got different certain abilities. For example, like people that go like Post Malone or somebody, like an artist or somebody, they probably had to develop it. It wasn't just natural. Maybe could have been natural, but everybody still got to develop their nature. You know what I'm saying? You don't just like be born as a baby and know what the fuck to do already. No, you still got to go through certain experiences to kind of figure out who you are and like, oh, okay, yeah, I like this and do, or you just do things and then it leads you to just being in a certain position where maybe you're on stage performing for like a crowd of few hundred people or thousands of people, or people will put you in. You know what I'm saying? People see you along the way and they're like, hey, da da da. You might be controllable enough. Let's just say where you could have a handler. Somebody could just okay, and then they invite you into a few rooms and a few doors and get open, and then next thing you know it, you on some type of platform doing an interview and stuff because somebody like linked you in and shit like that. But if you wasn't linked in like that, then you was just one of the other links trying to uphold the niggas that get to have all the fun or something. Like this is weird, man. I don't like this world right now. But it's gonna change. It's slowly changing. It's changing surely but slowly but surely. But yeah, man, this is weird, man. Like people that built the whole helped build the atmosphere are now in up like you know what I'm saying? They just took our position. But we fought for it. Niggas fought for their position. I guess the people at that time earned it with the seat. I'm not even gonna say they earned it, bro. Them niggas manipulated their way to goddamn having anything, and they still don't appreciate shit. It seems. Maybe they're a little better than now. So I give y'all like y'all new kids and stuff, y'all new age like shadow government cats or wherever y'all at. If y'all watching this, I ain't mad at you, man. Like I get it. Y'all are like just like me, dude. Y'all are just like me as far as just having a human experience. We might be doing shit in our own different ways and stuff, but y'all are seeing something that I'm not seeing. So I give y'all that. You know, at least give y'all like the respect that y'all got your own like, as much as y'all ain't really like using it for to actually help God expand, but y'all do got your own pieces as spirits where y'all like can make up your own mind and things of that nature. After the after like the dolos and shit, like y'all can make up y'all mind after we tell y'all how y'all finna make up y'all mind. Otherwise, you ain't shit. I gotta say that, man. I gotta say that you still ain't shit. So y'all don't know how to think. Y'all ain't in y'all right mind. Y'all, if y'all justifying creating wars and shit and false media tactics and weird psyops on YouTube of all places. You know what I mean? Like now YouTube is some battleground. Now YouTube is some like intellectual like sparring war match. Like war, and anybody that actually has real common sense, they get double zeroed and shit. Which really means like, I guess I got to step my game up. You know what I mean? But I don't know. In a lot of ways, I am getting shadow banned, bro. Because I be thinking I should be getting way more views and shit than what I be getting. And my video shouldn't be getting disappeared like that, along with other people that are getting their videos disappeared. How you gonna delete? Somebody can have 1,000 different, like 4,000 videos, and now they got 3,600. How you gonna go take away a thousand videos? I don't know, man. It's just like y'all niggas ain't shit for real. I'm done, man. Winning every single time. I don't know how to lose. Shout out to turquoise. Shout out my turquoise peoples and stuff. And shout out to Great Spirit. Shout out to Holy Ones. Shout out to the wind. You know, all the air beings and the wind beings and shit. All the water beings. All the fire beings in the fire realm and shit. Man, it's deep, bro. A lot of this shit is like, it's not all good, bro. It's like, it's just certain thing. A lot of things happen for us to have certain things now. There's a lot of things that occurred that like, there's people here that like, hey man, y'all set fire to the blue realm and shit. Y'all gonna like ever acknowledge that and take accountability for that? And then you got a whole bunch of other parties involved, and and there's table discussions being had, and like what we finna do next, and who's really responsible, because maybe there's certain thoughts and there's certain spirits that aren't even, they got evaporated and shit. They're not even around no more. So it's like, how do you even put any responsibility or accountability on maybe some beings and spirits that are not even around to do it? So everybody be like in some limbo, like some trapped limbo space at the moment, cause like that, I think that's what they trying. The government niggas is trying to figure out what to do, cause they know they gotta expand. They gotta like, you know what I'm saying? They gotta get some spirits out of hell or something. They got too many spirits that got evaporated or got separated, and and then the children that came out of those beings are kind of like clueless and shit to some degree, and they got to get online and do weird psyops and shit, do weird shit with Dolo the Pilot Man's channel, and people that sound and talk like Dolo the Pilot Man, or think similarly. Really, it's not even nobody trying to sound like somebody else. No, I think in a similar way as a Dolo the Pilot Man. He helped me remind myself that, like, oh right, because he's not just in a world by himself. There's other beings that are here that came with him. I think they said that in the Bible too. Like, didn't they say that in the Bible? Like, you know what I'm saying? Jesus is in and the goddamn apostles and like all that kind of thinking and shit, bro. Like niggas was not just here by themselves. This is a team thing, bro. This is like family shit, dude. Even if I'm not in nobody else's mind and shit, I know like I got my own family, bro, my own body and shit vessel that I created, bro. I ain't no fucking average Joe body, dude. I'm not out here with muffin gut. You know, it's real, but niggas out here with muffin gut and shit like that. You get what I'm saying? I must not come on a larger percentage level. I must not agree with those kind of thoughts and feelings that lead to niggas having English muffin gut. I'm more tied in with the spirits that's like trying to, all right, I'm gonna do some tree ups and shit. I'm gonna like go in the tree and do some pull ups before I'm just sitting around or something too long and shit. I might not be able to afford a gym membership right now. That ain't gonna stop me from being in shape. You get it? Do y'all get it yet? There's people out here like, oh no, the gym's closed. All right, I'm not gonna work out today. Like what? I'm kind of guilty of that. Like I ain't like the most like nigga. I'm finna just work out right now all day, every day. So I need to shift my mind. Somewhere in my mind, I was like around too many females growing up, and nothing wrong with females. It's just I kind of start having the thoughts of a woman. That's it. I'm out flipping birds.